boss, or maybe a boss and your subordinates. It could be mentor mentee, coach coachee. And we have already seen what ICF talks about. It's a relationship, it's a partnership, right? So whenever you have to build a relationship, obviously there has to be a trust in that relationship. Without trust you cannot build a relationship. That is a foundation for any relationship. Just imagine that you want to do a friendship with someone, and you want someone to share that secret with, or you want to talk about your feelings, right? Unless and until you trust that person, will you open up with that person? Think it that way. So it's the same relationship that you're getting with your team members. So you as an agile leader, it is very important to build that trust with your team members. Second is develop a relationship with coachee, mentee, and clients. It takes an effort from agile leaders to get that relationship built. It cannot build over a night, or it cannot build in a day. It takes some time. The way they need some time to sink in all this agile transformation. Similarly, even you would require that time to build that relationship or establish that relationship by just being with them, standing by them, and talking to them as one of them. Like, instead of saying, I want you to do that, or would you do this? Let's say, can we do this together? Can we work on this piece? Can we work on this functionality? Can we work on this sprint goal? This is how you are supposed to talk your team members, as if you are also part of that team. If the moment you detach yourself from your team and talk as an authoritative person, is when you would not have that relationship with your team members. So please keep in mind that having a trust and having a relationship with your team members, or your coaches, mentees, clients. Here clients is not client customer, but client is someone whom you are coaching, someone whom you are mentoring. So whoever gets coached or mentored becomes your client. Second is supervision versus partnership. This is again a very important point. I mean, if someone has to supervise you or micromanage you, obviously team member will not open up or will not work in their fullest capacity. Instead, partner with them. As we have already seen in that definition, it's a partnership. Let's say that let's do it together. Will you help me in this agile journey? Will you support me? This is how you are supposed to partner with them. Instead of saying that, okay, from tomorrow onwards you are supposed to follow this tool, you are supposed to follow this processes and all of that. No, if you're going to do that, no one will listen. Maybe few will listen out of fear or out of your position, but it will not sustain longer. Only when they realize the importance, only when they understand the benefit of that, or only when they have your support, when they have when you have their back, is when they are going to get that mindset right. Unless and until that doesn't happen, it is just going to be at a surface level of doing agile and not being agile. Next is lead the change with empathy. Obviously you are leading a change, you are driving a change, right? How do you do that? I mean, you have to empathize with other person. You have to understand other person's feeling. What is empathy? Empathy is understanding others feeling. And when do you understand others feeling? You would understand others and others feeling when you understand yourself and your feeling. When you understand an emotion on in your within you, is when you think that, okay, same emotion the other person would also have, right? And what is the reason the other person is behaving in that particular situation. If you try to empathize the other person in that situation, is when you would understand the rationale behind that person. And whenever you are driving a change, you have to lead that change. You have to show them how you are doing and how to do it. And if you just dictate them, no, you have to do this way, you have to do that way, they're not going to do it. You just show them, you show how to do it, and then people will follow you. That is the quality of a ideal leader. So I'm totally against of calling myself as a boss or a manager. No, I call myself as a leader, not a manager. because I want to pass that message to everyone that I am there for you. I'm there to support you in your agile journey. I can go ahead and show how to do it, and you can follow me, and we can be successful together in the journey. So this is how you are supposed to talk to your team members. Next is silos versus collaboration. This is the another fundamental thing in your agile journey. So we talk about collaboration, we talk about cross function and all of that. That is also mentioned in agile values and principles, right? So what is that? We have to work as a team together. If you see that someone is working in silos, the way we seen in that example, right? If someone is not cooperating and all, that will not only impact that person personally and professionally, it will impact the rhythm of the team as well. It will impact the entire decorum of the team, right? So it is very important for us to get everyone together, to have that collaboration with the within the team and avoid silos. Next is be an active listener and a keen observer. This is like a thumb rule for any agile coach or a scrum master. You should not be the one who's always doing blah 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 and talking, dictating them, telling them what to do and what to not. No, you should be active listener and keen observer. You can only help them empower, you can only help them guide the right direction when you listen to them. You have to be like more less talking and more of listening. And for listening you have to observe what is going on currently in the team. The moment you join the team as an agile coach or a scrum master, you're not supposed to, I mean, I know that you have a lot of thought process, you have got a lot of experience and you want to just jump your guns. No, instead of doing that, you can be a observer. Just observe what is going around in your team, what each person is doing, how and why they are doing what they are doing, and try to listen to each one, and just analyze the situation, analyze people, and only then you can go ahead with your point of views. Do not just jump your guns as soon as you start your agile journey. Just be an active listener and a keen observer. Next is flexibility and creativity versus being reactive. What do we mean by being flexible and creative? And you may ask how this agile coaching or do working as an agile leader is a creative and flexible process. Just think of a situation. What you generally do when there is a production issue that has come up. So if your steps are like just go havoc about what has just happened, why there is an issue, why the production issue, who is supposed to be blamed, who did wrong and all of that, then you are just being reactive. Instead, RCA is very much important for such situations. I mean, you may tell me that we are doing RCA and all of that. Yes, RCA is very important, but the intent of RCA is even more important. If you're just doing RCA just to blame someone, whom to put that blame because you are answerable to your higher authorities, then you're just being reactive. Then you're not being a true agile leader. You have to do RCA to understand what has gone wrong. How can you improve upon it? How can you tweak your ways flexibly, and how creative you can be in your next approach, and how can you improve in your next possible opportunity? This should be your ways of working. This should be your next steps rather than being reactive and blaming others. When you blame others, trust me that nothing is more worse than doing that. No one will achieve anything out of it. People will only start not believing in you. I mean, people will just only start fearing you when you start blaming your team members. If you want to gain that trust of your team members, be with them. Just tell them it's okay, we have failed this time, but let's learn from our mistakes. And agile is not about not making mistakes, it is about making mistakes early and learning from our mistakes early. So, and here is where your creativity comes into picture as an agile leader. How will you convince your team that you are there for them in this problem? be for your team, be for your people, is only when they are going to trust you as an agile leader, and that is when they are going to accept you as their leader. Next is be vulnerable and share failure stories. This is like, this is a very powerful tool, and this is what vulnerability is, what that has helped me personally in my entire agile journey, in whichever project that I've worked, or in whichever organization I have worked, or whichever program that I have worked as an agile leader or a scrum master, now as an enterprise agile leader as well. Vulnerability is a key in getting that trust and gaining the trust of your team members. How that vulnerability helps. So whenever you say that you are an agile leader, and when you say that you are working in a transformation, or you're working as in the capacity of a manager or a higher authority, the notion that person has is the manager should have this tough exterior, and managers cannot make mistakes, they cannot go wrong. If we show to our team members that I made a mistake, people will mock me, people will not accept me. So these are all the insecurities that a manager or a higher authority has when they deal with their team members from this level, right? And this is the crown that they wear, that I am higher authority and I should have a tough exterior. But this is the most uh, foolish thing that we can go with in front of your team members. Instead, show that even you are human being and you are one of them. Tell them that you are vulnerable. When I say vulnerable, not just open your heart out and tell and all of that. What you can do is, uh, like a filler, or maybe in somewhere in between, you can say that I am seeking answers to this problem. Can you give me a solution? Do you have a solution to this? Can you help me with this? I'm stuck with this. Even if you say this, people understand that, oh, he is someone like us, he is someone with us. So even he has problem, he is open to solution, he is open to ideas. This is how you are going to promote them, give solution, and think in your lines, or you can think in their lines. And when you say that you are being vulnerable, you can also become a successful leader by sharing your stories and lessons. Not necessary that you always share a success story. No one would be interested in listening to your success story, because that is what the perception that they have of the leaders, that leaders never fail and they don't want to fail, and they don't want to bend in front of others, right? And if you even see or watch any TED talks, they never only talk about their success stories, right? They also talk about failure stories and how they learn from their failures, what lessons they have learned from their failures. The TED talks are all about that. They do not call someone because they are only successful and they do not have any lessons to learn, right? So you also, if you aspire to be a good leader, good agile leader, be vulnerable. Vulnerability plays a wonderful job, and it does half your job as an agile leader or an agile coach or a scrum master. Be vulnerable, share your failure stories and lessons, and teach them how can you learn from your failure stories. Next is empower and enable your team to own up things. With your constant support, with your constant push, is when they are going to feel empowered and enabled. Tell them, give that freedom. Okay, if you have to do a certain thing, give them that freedom to do it in their way. Give them that freedom to think about it in their way. Don't just dictate them or just hold their hands and ask them to trace everything that you have already written. No. If you're going to do that, if you're going to dictate, they're never going to feel empowered or enabled. When you're going to ask them trace things in your way, they will never own up things. And when they never own up things, they don't have accountability. You are not going to succeeding as an agile coach in your agile journey. They are only, if they don't own up things, they will only do at a surface level, and they will do out of fear. Just an example, I have seen people who come and ask me that, please ask the team to follow certain processes, follow certain tools. and if they don't do, it would impact in their appraisal. And that is how I've seen managers telling their team members, if you do not follow these processes and tools, it would impact in your appraisal. I mean, this is not how you drive a transformation. This is not how you get people do the right way. What they will think. And people have reached out to me telling that, Ramya, if we have to do certain things because it will impact our appraisal, that is just one day in entire year, one day out of 365 days. If no one will just think about that particular day, and in that fear anyone is going to do their daily chores, right? No, they are not going to do that. They are only going to do if they are convinced and if they see benefits out of it. So if you want your team members to own things, and if they want your team members to do certain things in an agile way, you will have to empower and enable. The example that we have seen above in this flexibility and creativity versus being reactive. So if there is a production issue, be there to support your team. Tell them it's okay to fail, but let's learn from our mistakes. And you may say that that may not work practically. Your stakeholders or your product owner is not going to listen to your stories that it's okay to fail and all of that. But try to understand, once you fail, twice you fail, in the third iteration you're definitely going to succeed. And you, no one in this world can guarantee that in the first go you are going to be successful, right? You follow waterfall, you follow traditional way, you follow agile way. No one can succeed or guarantee success in your first go. So everyone is learning in this agile journey. Everyone is open with their open to their failures, open to new ideas. And that is the beauty of agile, that is the beauty of working in an agile environment. So no one will say that, why did you fail? Rather, if you say that we have failed this time, these were the reason this went wrong, and this is how we are going to improve. If you're going to say this, no one will put a gun on your head and say that, no, we want the reason for your failure. No one will do that. So it actually works, and it worked for many scrum masters. It worked for me as an agile coach, as a scrum master. And this is how you're going to only empower and enable your team. Be there by your team, support your team wherever they need. Next is appreciate for small wins and joys. And who doesn't like appreciation, right? We are human beings, we thrive on appreciation. So, and this is how you're going to motivate people and increase the morale in them. You have to appreciate them for small things, small wins and joys. If the smallest release, if that goes right, and if it is successful, I would say appreciate team in front of everyone, in front of leadership, in front of your other team members. It's like appreciate in front of everyone and criticize in person. It's like you don't know, if you have not ever done that, you just do it and you will see the results and the impact of appreciating someone. The person will get even more motivated in doing their job right. Appreciation is very much important. All of this that we have talked about, empowering, enabling, being creative, all of this will fall in place when you appreciate for their small issues and small wins and joys. For example, if someone has done a great job in a sprint, for that matter, not even talk about any release or any production achievement or a milestone, just in your sprint, if you feel that someone has done a great job, in the next possible gathering, it could be your daily stand-ups, it could be your retrospectives, or if you don't get any opportunity, you can just drop an email marking everyone, saying that so and so person has done a great job. Even that small gesture will do wonders for you in your journey. Obviously, even if you get appreciated for for your own job, you will you feel more motivated, right? You feel more motivated in doing even better job. That is how the appreciation helps in your agile journey. So I would request everyone, I know that you already would be doing that, but if you have never done that, please start appreciating your team members. that will really help you in your agile journey. And last and but not the least is use the agile coaching competencies appropriately or wisely. What are the agile coaching competency? I'm not getting into details of all of this because this calls for another session altogether. And you can definitely reach out to me offline if you want to learn more about it. But just let me put it over here. The core agile coaching competencies are coaching, mentoring, teaching, and facilitating. When you are working as an agile coach or a scrum master, you should understand these competencies, and you should know which competency should be used in which situation, and accordingly gauge the situation and use the competencies appropriately. And this is one of the, so these, if I say, are all the uh, kind of a soft skills. This is the powerful tool, I must say. So this is the toolkit, and these tools will help you drive your agile journey or internalize your agile journey in a better way. So these were some of the points that I felt which could help the agile coaches and scrum masters in their agile journey. Now let me put some light on coaching around agile values and principles. These are again the human centric factors. That is the reason why I have thought of just putting out for everyone. I'm not going into detail of what agile values and principles are. We as a scrum masters and agile coaches, we already know, but I'll try to give you some perspective. How did I solve my problems in a project using agile values and principles? So I'll one one very common or very beautiful example or a problem that has I have faced as an agile coach or a scrum master. So this problem I had faced while I was working as a scrum master back then. So I was working as a scrum master in a safe environment or a safe framework, and I was handling two scrum teams. So one scrum team, originally a scrum team was based out of Mumbai location. So what happened was, so we originally were working from Mumbai location, and there were few team members that got added from another location. So it was Hyderabad location. So what happened was, when these team members from Hyderabad team joined this particular development team, they were not gelling with these team members from Mumbai team. So there were lot of to and fro happening. So there was Mumbai versus Hyderabad that was happening. So what happened was, I didn't realize then that there was something wrong with my team. So what I thought to do was, I mean, I was just wondering what is that is going wrong, and how can I build it. So that was my failure as a scrum master. I realized that only after two sprints. I realized that there was something going wrong. So what I thought was, I talked to the Mumbai team separately. I talked to Hyderabad team separately. I thought there was I had seen that there was a spillover. And when I asked Mumbai team, why was this user story not completed? What was the reason? Is when I was told that there was a dependency on one of the team members from the Hyderabad team, and this was the exact words. There was a dependency from the Hyderabad team, and that team member was not cooperative. This was the reason I got, and there I failed as a scrum master. So what I did next was, I went back to agile values and principles, and I knew that face to face communication and team collaboration is the one of the principles and values. So here, if you see that face to face conversation, the most efficient effective method of conveying information is face to face communication. Next is collaboration, right? uh, Business people, developers must work together. This was another one. And there is one more. Yeah, build projects around motivated individuals, give them the support they need, trust them. These were the principles that I was thriving upon, and I just sat behind and I talked to both of them separately. They were not, and I understood that they were not gelling with each other well. So what I did next was immediately, and this was before pandemic obviously. So I thought that let's have a team connect. What we used to do is, this team, that is Hyderabad team, used to visit Mumbai office. And we thought the frequency, I left to them that we have to do this. And you may say that how did you force? So when you leave options to team members and nothing concrete is coming out of them, is when you can come up with your solution. And I'm not saying that this has to be dictated and this has to be done, but when you see that things are not falling in place, is when you as a scrum master or an agile coach can suggest them. And this solution is also given by Mike Con from the Mountain Goat as well. So what I did was, I told them let's have a visit to each other's location at least once a month or once a sprint. The team decided that let's have once a month. So Mumbai team used to go and visit Hyderabad team. Obviously I used to accompany them, and Hyderabad team used to visit Mumbai team. So in this process, what used to happen is, people used to collaborate with each other and talk to them in person, face to face. And I used to ensure that whenever these visits happen, there has to be a team building activity that should be done. So I used to come up with that one team building activity, and I used to get all of them together, and I used to plan a group activity, so that I used to form a team wherein team members from both the locations are mixed. And that is how they started talking to each other, gelling with each other. Whenever Mumbai team used to come to Hyderabad, or Hyderabad team used to come to Mumbai, same thing, I used to come up with some new team building activity. One day I used to cater, or one meeting I used to cater for this team building activity in initially. And then we used to start our planning and all of that. This way people started gelling with each other. And now you may ask me, this is all said and done, this was okay before pandemic, what about during pandemic? How would you ensure that collaboration? Why not? I mean, we all are using communication tools such as Zoom, Teams, and whatnot. Even today when we are communicating with each other, we are using this platform, right? This communication tool. So similarly, even today, now I'm not part of that Scrum team anymore, that organization anymore. Now when I'm working as an agile coach, I'm working in a even more challenging environment, wherein I am coaching teams who are new to agile, and everything I'm doing it remotely. You can understand the complexity of doing that. So I'm doing everything remotely. And even now I try to have a team building activity at least once a month. Some Fridays I just discuss with team, we decide upon one day and have a team building activity. And this really helps. So what I feel is, whatever problem that you have in your team, that problem that you might be facing, 90% it would be human centric problem. And you have to look within your agile values and principles, and you will definitely get solution out of your values and principle. All you have to do is just relate your problem to these values and principles, and just try to think in a 360-degree direction as a third person, and try to find out that solution. You will definitely get solution from your 12 agile values and principles. And with this, I end my presentation over here, and we can take up any questions that we may have.
Thank you, Ramya, for sharing the insights. So we do have some couple of questions from the participants. Okay, so there's one question from Mr. RC Goel with respect to the how the creating culture and the frank communication and making people to surface the issue will help to achieve into good coaching practice. Would you like to share some thoughts?
Sure. So, this is a very interesting question, I must say. And this is something that most of the Scrum Masters or Agile coaches who approach me ask this. How do we create that culture wherein everyone comes together and does collaborative work, right? That it takes lot from you as an Agile leader to do that. And you have to take that effort, make that effort. When you give that safe environment, when you give that freedom to your team members, wherein team members feel safe to communicate their problems, communicate their opinions, or give that opinions, is when we say that you have succeeded as a scrum master or an agile coach. You have to create an environment by being, I mean, do whatever it takes, be friendly, be vulnerable, be gain trust, appreciate people. All these things will only help you as an agile leader to lay that platform or foundation wherein people feel safe. Psychological safety is what we call. People should feel empowered and safe to speak their opinions out in your team, within your team. If you feel that your team members are keeping mum or they are not talking in your retrospectives, right, is when you can completely or blindly assume that people are not feeling safe. That's how it
Yes,
is. So you have to open
absolutely,
up your team.
absolutely.
I hope I
So
answered that question.
yeah, yeah. There's another question from Prashant. Okay, as an coach, can you share a couple of your challenging situation and how you came across and how did you overcome? You already shared one of the example of Mumbai versus Hyderabad team. Would you like to share any one
Yeah.
of them?
Yes. So another example
Yeah.
that I would like to share quickly is when I mean this everyone faces, right? Whenever change or a product owner or someone from business team comes and throws a new enhancement or new requirement to us in the middle of the sprint, and that is where most of us go berserk, that how do we handle that situation. For that, I would say that you can go back to your agile values and principle, and I had faced that situation myself. How I did was, I went back to agile values and principle. I read that welcoming change is one of the principles, and that is what I mean. People come with that perspective that we are doing agile, that means you are supposed to take up any changes anytime, right? Accepting change is not equal to welcoming change. If you go back to your agile values and principles, your principle says welcome change and not accept change. What you can do is, whenever that thing happens, and that is what I did. What I did was, whenever there was a requirement that was thrown at team members in the middle of sprint or release or whatever, what I did was, I told okay, I come up with these three things: assess, estimate, and only then commit. I always ask my team members to follow these three mantras: assess, estimate, and commit. Assess, estimate, and commit. Because without assessment, without estimation, you cannot commit anything. And that's what the welcoming change is. That's why I mentioned that whatever problems that you may have, you can go back to Agile values and principles, you will get the solution. So now, whenever your product managers or business teams come to you and ask for change, you can tell this: okay, we are open to welcome change. That doesn't mean that we are accepting that change right away without any planning or any assessment. So this is how I handled my situation, and that worked, and that works every time. You can also do that.
Thank you very much, Ramya, for sharing your insight, and it was very helpful and insightful session for entire participant, including me. Being a play, still I am playing role of agile coach, but it is still more insightful for me as learning never stops.